So we're talking today about the true definition of neighborly love. Now, don't hang up your phone thing. That sounds boring. Like that's the thing we need to dig into the least. Neighborly love is just like a platitude. It's like a Hallmark card. It's like, but actually, there's it's a really important thing to understand. And this will be my last preface before we start reading. It's to understand how to effectively distribute aid that matches the needs of people.
That's right. When I think back on the 20th century, you had AA was coming in there, Alcoholics Anonymous, and 12-step groups, and I think there was a wisdom coming of like, oh wait, there's a way of treating an active alcoholic that's actually enabling them to get worse. What you think is love is going in the opposite direction. It's making them worse. And what they need is tough love, or, different expressions like that, where you need to be hard, need to set boundaries, need to be tough. And so I think we're in an interesting time of kind of re-examining what is the wisest. So yes, there's one thing is just like, oh, I feel compassion, I feel sentiment, I feel for this person, I feel badly about what they're going through and all that. That's great. But how would you communicate that to that person in a way that would actually help them move forward in their lives?
Yeah.
And this lost. There used to be a lot more wisdom about that than there is now.
To study that with the vociferousness. What's that vociferous? The tenacity by which we pursue understanding the nature of the atom, or understanding the nature of biology or of chemistry. That this is also there's as much to find in there, and it's of the same or greater importance.
Could really impact society.
So this is what Swedenborg had to say about it. If anyone's not familiar, Emanuel Swedenborg, scientist, inventor, leading figure in Europe at 1700s, started to have what we would now call spiritual experiences, got to go and visit God and afterlife and everything, and so had some very direct firsthand experience with how things are supposed to be. And this is kind of going back to like the design for the universe.
And what's astounding about his experiences is that quite early on, he starts to interact with people who lived on this planet long ago and are still in the spiritual world.
Yes.
And so he's able to learn lost things. I mean, it's great. It's sort of a connector back across time to get wisdom that used to be there and bring it forward if at all possible.
That's right. Okay, so this is right directly from the spirits of ancient people. This is from his book, Secrets of Heaven, 6628. I have shown that theology of neighborly love was the theology of the ancient churches, that this theology united all the churches, and that it therefore created one religion out of many. The people of those religions, you see, acknowledged as members of the church everyone who lived a life of neighborly kindness. They called such people family, no matter how far they diverged otherwise on truth, the truth that people now identify with faith.
It is such a different. I have a friend, used to be a colleague on the faculty of Bernathen College, who talked about how different religion was in ancient times. And it really was this way, that you could see if somebody sort of respects the idea of the divine, the fact that one person's worshiping this person or somebody else is doing that. So it really didn't matter. If you were being a decent member of society, that's really what the core of the thing was. And now we can't even understand that, because it's like, well, wait, isn't that a completely different philosophy of reality? Does it matter? No, not really. I can see they're a good person.
Man, that's crazy. That right away, because right now it's the opposite, where you can, what religion are you on this? And that person, yeah, I can see they're a good person, but they're a different religion, and I'm this religion. Because why? What's the differentiator? Well, it's our rituals and our beliefs.
Yeah, exactly.
It used to be that is that person in the same church as you? Yeah, they are, because they're living a life of neighborly kindness. So that's the hallmark.
Which is pretty universal, I mean, it would feel like playing tennis with the net down to a lot of people now. Wait a second, what? You can't just say, people from all religions of the world who are decent people are like, we actually see that we're one. You can see that there was a much greater unity, and he doesn't say there was no differences. Yeah. There were big differences, but it was secondary to this idea of, oh no, you're on the same team. We're on the neighborly love, neighborly kindness team.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about tennis with the net down. That would be so easy. It was so stress free. Like it'll just bounce till it gets to you.
Right.
Okay, so you look around and you see who's living a life of neighborly love, because you're not, not everybody does. Who's doing it? And then that person, I consider them in the church with me. We have different ideas, but that's secondary. It's not nothing. But the more important thing is, are you living that life of love? And you can have the same ideas as me and the same rituals. But if I look at your life and I see that you're not living a life of neighborly, I don't consider you part of my church.
Yeah, that is so interesting. It's very different.
It continues. As for religious truth, one individual would teach another, which they counted as an act of neighborly love. So you can share your faith. Okay.
Teaching, yeah.
What is more, no offense was taken if one individual did not yield to another's point of view. They knew that the more intent we are on what is good, the more truth we accept.
So they really had this priority on goodness, which in Swedenborg's vocabulary equals love. Love is the most important thing. That's what's going on between people. That's the most important thing. This sort of idea of, oh, well, this is my thought about the afterlife, or this is who I think God is. It's important, but it's secondary to the love thing.
And it's just an attitude. It's an attitude shift, because it's like it matters. People would try to teach each other, and it's considered good to try to teach someone. You say, look, I'm going to share what my doctrines, because it could be that certain doctrines are more closely match reality than others. I'm going to try to do that, and that's actually considered an act of neighborly love to try to give you these truths. Yeah. However, I'm not offended if you don't yield to my point of view.
So it's not thought control. It's not sort of everybody in lockstep.
Well, the stakes are different. I mean, nowadays you got a lot of people who think, unless you belong to this faith, you're in a huge trouble with your eternal destiny, or that what I have to do is try to make converts and I win or lose. So the stakes are different, and so if people believe that, then it makes sense that no, you can't just wait. Come on, you got to listen to what I have to say. Whereas if this person's already in the church because they're already living a life of neighborly kindness, then it's like, yeah, I think I could improve your ideas, but stakes are different.
I'm not worried if you don't. Yeah, because I know that everybody just has their own mindset that comes out of the way that they're living their life, and so we may see things differently. But I still thought I'd share my point of view, because this is where I've come to in the course of my life.
So they had all these different religions back in some. He doesn't specify the exact time period, but back in some time period. Yeah. Had all these different religions.
Pre-Christian. Ancient generally is like, thousands of years ago.
They had a theology, which was one central teaching, which is the teaching of neighborly love. In that, if you're living a life in which you try to do good to others, then that's the most important thing. Like that's an idea in itself. Every church held that idea, and so all these different churches made one church. Okay.
Yeah, and the prioritization. It's never the case that all of these teachings are of equal value. Everybody, Swedenborg talks about this, everybody sort of sorts I'm picturing puzzle pieces, or I don't know, things on a table, and everybody stacks them differently. Everybody says, well, no, this is the most important one. This is peripheral. I don't care about that. This is, everybody does that in a different way.
You might be saying at home, well, I don't care. Why would I care about how these people do this? There's benefits to doing it that way. He continues, as this is what ancient churches were like, the people in them had depth. And as they had depth, they were wise. So you want to be wise. This is a component of that wisdom, is to understand that the ethics of your life are of paramount importance. I'm just right on the edge of my thesaurus here. People intent on doing good out of love and charity are in heaven, as far as their inner self is concerned, and in an angelic community there, devoted to the same kind of goodness.
And this is raises an important point, which is that what Swedenborg's describing about the churches was a better reflection of the way he describes heaven now, the way that heaven is and always has been, which is that there are all these different communities. They see things quite differently. He says the light is different. And if you know Swedenborg's idea of correspondences, that means your whole thought structure, the way that you see reality, is different in these different communities. They worship God in different ways, and yet they all work together because they're part of this whole cooperative. And so the churches then had more of a reflection of that quality of heaven.
That's how heaven would have to be. And a lot of times in religion, we're thinking about, will you get to heaven or not? And here he's saying that as your intent in doing good out of love and charity, so the two sort of classes of feelings, you're already in heaven.
Yes.
As to your inner nature. So the spirit part of you, which is like the conscious part of you, which exists right now in the afterlife. Like there's a spirit in a body, right? Which a lot of people say that. Well, where does a spirit live? Where does a spirit live? It lives in the afterlife. If you're intent on doing good out of love, your spirit actually moves into a community of angels in heaven. So you're already got there once you're intent on doing good out of love and charity.
This is so crucial. To me, the most crucial idea is that idea of heaven on earth. It's right in the prayer, that idea of heaven on earth. And he just gave us the recipe. That's it. If love becomes the most important thing in your life, boom, you're there, heaven on earth. You're there.
And the most important thing that you look for in other people.
Yes.
You're looking for, like, where am I? Are we on the same team? Oh yeah, right. There you go. You're doing that good of love. That's what's important. So look what else you get if you're in this state. This raises their minds inward and therefore yields them wisdom. Wisdom cannot come from anywhere but heaven, or rather from the Lord through heaven. And heaven holds wisdom because its inhabitants are dedicated to what is good.
Swedenborg so often has this kind of hierarchy of, okay, here's just mere knowledge. It's just like data. Okay, you've accumulated all. He's a big fan of knowledge. He's a very, very, one of the most knowledgeable people in the world at his time. He's a fan. But knowledge is just here. That it's a building block. It's a container, he says. Mm-hmm. Then you have understanding, which is, you can have a lot of sort of data, but if you don't, you need to organize it, right? Yeah. Like you need to, I see what's going on here. The reason this is like this and that's like that is because there's this overarching pattern. You see what I mean? And that's a level of understanding. Then wisdom almost transcends all of it. It almost departs from a cognitive level because it's so much about love and compassion. It's a much, much higher level, or more inward, as he often expresses it.
Yeah, and to understand that that's the way it tends. Like, why does knowledge exist? to get you to a point where you can live wisely, which is knowing how to live from love.
Yeah, and isn't that what human society, isn't that what groups all over the world? What you need is that wisdom. Wisdom's what we need, right? A lack of wisdom is what's going on down here.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned heaven on earth, which is ostensibly the point of the existence of Earth. I mean, the point of the existence of reality, according to Swedenborg, is that there would be a heaven from the human race.
Yeah.
So there's the people in the state of happiness that comes from being loving, which has in it everything we're looking for: peace, innocence, joy, all that. That's why anything exists.
And because of his idea, which we've probably mentioned before in other episodes, if people have seen those, that the who populates the heavens is just people who used to live in this world and they died. That's where we go after we die. It's important to get, because that's the goal. It's important to get the farm team also working well down here.
That's right. That's right. We're the raw materials from which heaven is crafted. Man, also I think that last clause, heaven holds wisdom because its inhabitants are dedicated to what is good. You'd think, well, of course, like heaven would have wisdom in it. Because it's heaven. That's why it has.
Yeah.
But why does it have wisdom in it? Because its inhabitants are dedicated to what is good.
And what is good, to me, this is so much a part of what we're talking about today, is it takes a lot of wisdom, because good kind of has in it that idea that you mentioned of effectiveness, right? It's not, okay, here, I'll just hand you some money or something like that. Well, what effect will that have on you? Is that good? Do you feel better after I give that to you, or does it actually weaken you in certain ways, or something? Like to be effective, to be actually good, to actually move, to be of benefit.
Right. Well, and if you what you're caring about is the happiness of this person, I guess that's like a mini version of how God treats us.
Yes, this is really. That's where this all comes from. Because the whole structure of the spiritual world is a map of the way the Lord sees what's best for each person here. I think if you're here, that's best for your type of person in the state you're in right now. And
because Swedenborg has this whole subset of his theology, which is about divine providence. And this is the way that God runs our lives, basically. And always all the laws of that are, it's doing what's best for our eternal state at any moment. So even though like your life doesn't go the way you would plan it, if you could just plan it, you don't feel the way every day that you feel like you want to feel. That's being the only reason that any of that stuff happens is it's ultimately looking toward a happy state to eternity, the happiest possible state to eternity for everyone. Right?
For everyone. And there's a specific passage, I think, somewhere where Swedenborg says that really the heart of providence is placing people in the right spot in the spiritual world. Like the whole thing is almost like an employment program or something where, okay, I think this is what you're well suited to. This is the place where you'll thrive. This is where you'll do the most good. It'll be the most good for you. So that's like a huge, very detailed version of what we're clumsily trying to do down here in the way that we love our fellow human beings. So
you had this ancient wisdom, but then we lost it. We fumbled it. This is continuing in 6630. However, this ancient wisdom dwindled.